Greetings Internet, it is battle report time once again at BoLS Souls. Today I have my eHaley Cygnar list against Draxos' Morghul Skorne list. So just to take you through my list real quick, it is eHaley with a Bonded Stormwall and Thorn, as well as a Squire unit detachment. Unit of Gun Mages with the unit detachment and a Hunter marshaled to them. A Epic Heiress, a Journeyman Warcaster, the Black 13th, and Arlen Strangeways. So it's pretty simple list. It's pretty compact, it moves pretty fast, I'm pretty happy with it. Just to take you through the scenario real quick, it is Rally Point, which has the two large circles as you can see, one at the far end of the video and one near. The one that's closer to my side of the board on the left, if I dominate that zone with my Warcaster, I will score a point. If I control the zone and the enemy's part, I will score a point. If I dominate his, I will score 2. And then there are also 2 objectives on the board. They are the Effigy of Valor, they're armed 20, they have 20 wounds, and friendly model units within 2 inches of the Effigy gain Fearless. And it can be transported. So if a friendly Warcaster Warlock dominates the objective, the model can be placed within 5 inches of its current location once during the dominating Warcaster/Warlock's turn. So yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, to take you through the Skorne list real quick, it is Morghul with a pair of Bronzeback Titans, a Titan Gladiator, a Titan Sentry, a Basilisk Kriya, and a Cyclops Brute. So a pretty robust battle group, pretty common for Skorne. And then in addition to that, there are, I believe, 2 minimum units of Pain Givers, Aptimus Marketh, an Agonizer, and the Mortithurge Willbreaker. So here you can see deployment is starting. You can see that on my side of the board I do have my Stormwall deployed first. I am going second in this game, but huge base models always have to go first, so he's already out. You can see Skorne deploying to the right with the Titan, the Bronzeback Titans on both flanks, the Titan Sentry and the Gladiator more towards the middle, and Morghul with them, and they're all kind of backed up by the Basilisk Kriya, the Brute, and the Pain Givers and the various solos. As you can see, I'm deploying now. I have my Gun Mages who are going in the middle of the board. They got pretty long range and they're pretty quick, so I really like kind of keeping them in the middle so they can affect a large part of the board whenever I need it. The Hunter will be AD'd, as you see, right next to the objective. eHaley is kind of more towards the left so that I can dominate that zone if I wish. And then Thorn is kind of, Thorn will move up right next to her in just a second. And then the Black 13th are on the right side, closer to the camera. Yeah, as you can see, actually, and I did make some small deployment mistakes, and we'll talk about those when I get into my first turn. So this is the first turn for Skorne, and it's pretty common. You can see the Bronzebacks running up either side of the flank. The one nearest the house, you can see Aptimus Marketh just moved up and gave it admonition, which will make it a little cagey, a little bit more difficult to get to. And then Morghul is going to advance. Before doing that, he will actually put Abuse on the Titan Sentry, which will increase its strength and speed, effectively making it speed 6 so it can get upfield really fast, which is a concern. Basilisk Kriya then moves up and casts Paralytic Aura for some range defense. And Morghul also put some Fury points on the Agonizer so that it can be more of a threat to me on following turns. And then yeah, he pretty much just kind of moves the rest of his forces up behind the Agonizer, right next to the nearer Bronzeback right by the forest, and the Pain Giver's up behind, as you see. And the Mortithurge is kind of in the middle, where he can affect a good portion of the board if he needs to. So now I'm planning out my turn, and I'm kind of conflicted about what I want to do. I'm not really sure how many focus I want to give to Stormwall. I'm thinking about giving him 2 for just shooting his big guns twice and boosting the damage rolls on one of his Bronzebacks. But I can't give him up to 4 thanks to the bond, and I'm thinking really hard about putting Temporal Accelerate to give him extra speed and an additional shot with a big gun. And with that speed 9, he can really get upfield fast, but unfortunately, my own mistake, as you can see with deployment, is going to cost me there. So what I'm eventually going to decide on is I'm going to give 4 to Stormwall. I'm going to cut the Squire for 1 so that eHaley has 9 focus to work with this turn. I will give Temporal Accelerate to the Stormwall for an additional attack and 2 extra inches of speed, and then Deadeye to the Gun Mages. If his Bronzeback does decide to move into me, I'm going to try to knock it down with Thunderbolt shots, which has that critical knockdown effect. So as you can see, I'm checking my control area pretty carefully. I'm deciding whether or not I want to cast my feat this turn. I'm actually going to decide not to do it. Had I charged or cast telekinesis on EHaley, she would have been able to get close enough to affect pretty much most of the parts of his army that matter. But she's just going to advance up and cast those spells, Deadeye and Temporal Acceleration on the Stormwall. And here's where my turn kind of starts to fall apart. The Black 13th, which are closest to the camera, they're to the left of the Grey House, are kind of hugging around the inside of the circle of Stormwall's base, and unfortunately Stormwall is not going to be able to advance through them, so I've got to move them first. So as you can see, they're going to run and they're going to hide behind that house to make some room so that Stormwall can get through it. The other problem is that the gun mages to the far side of Stormwall are doing the same thing. They're hugging the left side of Stormwall's base, so he's going to have to move around them as well. So instead of getting nice straight movement straight towards his Bronzeback Titan, he's going to have to move in increments. Here you can see he's moving about 4 inches. I'm going to check my control area to see exactly what I need, and then Stormwall is going to move another 3 or 4 inches forward, moving around the Black 13th, which are kind of on the other side of the house. You can't really see them. Checking my control area again to see exactly where I am, and then he's going to finish his movement. And unfortunately, because I had to zigzag a little bit, I lost like 2 full inches of movement. So deployment, really important. Make sure that you're not closing off your lanes like that. So yeah, now as I go to measure, you can see that Stormwall is clearly about 2 inches out, and had I not deployed like a goofus, that would not have been a problem. So his big guns unfortunately do nothing. So what I will do now is I'm just going to kind of haphazardly throw out my covering fire templates, which will again prove to be a mistake based on what's going to happen next turn, which you'll see. And then I'll also put out a lightning pod on the next to that wall. Now, had I put the covering fire templates out a little bit farther, it would have actually really helped me next turn, and you'll see why when we get around to Skorne turn 2. So I'll finish up my turn actually by running the gun mages up behind that wall, as you can see, without any of his heavies close enough to shoot at. There's really no point in trying to do anything else. Thorn runs to the far side of the gun mages, and Epic Eris toes into that wood. And that'll pretty much be it for the rest of my turn. My hunter advances, he shoots the sentry and does 2 damage. Not really a big deal, but yeah. So not terribly effective. I made some mistakes that are going to cost me in the next round, which will start right now. So after pulling off Fury, he will upkeep Admonition on the Bronzeback on the far side, and he will upkeep Abuse on the Sentry. Sentry's going to run forward into my face, as you can see. It's super quick. Effectively, it's speed. He's speed 6, and then he has the additional 2 inches of movement from Rush, which was cast by Morghul. And so yeah, he runs into my face. He engages my hunter and one of my gun mages. The Bronzebacks, the far Bronzeback ran into the my control zone, and his Bronzeback that's closer to the camera charged forward and killed the lightning pod. Now that lightning pod was 10 full inches out, and this is what's going to cause me. You can see that he's running his Agonizer up, and it runs pretty much right to there. Now if I would have put those covering fire templates out a little bit farther, the Agonizer would not have been able to get nearly as close without taking damage. So consequently, the Agonizer is able to run up and get within 7 inches of the storm wall and use Spiritual Affliction, which will stop it from actually being allocated any focus next turn, which really hurts on your 19-point bonded Colossal. So the rest of his turn is pretty simple. The Bronzeback will advance up and put Safeguard on Morghul. The Creo will advance, and the Paingivers will run forward as well. The Mortithurge Willbreaker will advance and put Puppet Strings onto the Bronzeback to make it a little bit more difficult to go after if I decide to do that. So looking at my options for this turn, I really have a couple different ways I can go. I can choose to pop my feet and play aggressively, try to focus down 1 or maybe 2 of his Titans, thinking of the Sentry that's right in front of my army, or the Bronzeback that is closer to the camera with the Stormwall. I can't give the Stormwall any focus because of Spiritual Affliction, but I can try to kill the Agonizer first and use Power Booster from Arlen's Strangeways to give him 1, and then Temporal Accelerate him for an additional attack and that little bit of extra speed to get him close enough to that Bronzeback to start wailing on him if I want to. But I smell blood, and I think I can make an assassination work, so I'm going to do that. So Arlen's Strangeways starts the activation by putting a Power Booster onto Thorn, who then runs, as you can see, about 9 or so inches away from Morghul, and really close into engaging that Bronzeback, which has Admonition on it. Now, unfortunately, we have a little bit of a rules dispute here, but Draxos was super classy about getting it resolved, and even though he was correct, he still kind of let me go with what my interpretation was. Anyway, the Bronzeback does have countercharge, and with Admonition allows him to move, I believe it's 3 inches if I end within 6 inches of the Bronzeback. So as you can see, it triggered, he moved away from Thorn, and then he wanted to trigger a countercharge after that, which allows him to charge a model that ended its movement within 6 inches. But I was interpreting it kind of wrong, and so the countercharge didn't actually end up happening. We did kind of roll the dice after the game was over just to see how it would have gone anyways, and it was pretty inconsequential. The Lancer's pretty sturdy body and his where the damage actually went ended up not really meaning anything. All I really wanted was the Arc Node to be active, and it would have been fine regardless. So with Thorn close enough, Epic Haley will activate. She'll pop her feet, and she'll start by casting Time Bomb on the Titan Gladiator, which is in the middle of the board behind the rightmost wall. And I will hit. I roll 10. Not that I really needed to hit. It's a 4-inch AoE, and all I was really looking to do was to tag Morghul with it. If you're hit by Time Bomb, you'll suffer -2 defense and speed, so that'll make Morghul a little bit easier to deal with when it comes time to start shooting at him. So that will hit. I do a little bit of damage to the Titan Gladiator because it is POW 15, and then I will cast Telekinesis. It's with Morghul's defense reduced, he's effectively a 15, but behind that wall that's going to go up by 4, so he's going to be a 19. So my Focus 8 against his 19, I need 11s to hit, but with the Squire's reroll, it gives me 2 chances basically at doing it. So yeah, I will hit. I'll hit the 11 the first time, and that allows me to drag Morghul over the wall, as you can see. He's not behind that wall anymore, so he doesn't have cover, and he doesn't benefit from the Paralytic Aura back on the Kriya either. And he's far enough away from the Cyclops Brute that he's not benefiting from Shield Wall, so he is ripe for the taken for my ranged forces. So I'll start things off nice and simple by moving up Epic Eris to shoot him. She has super high rat, so she usually doesn't have trouble hitting much of anything, especially if it's time bombed. She will hit, fortunately for me. I start off with a nice couple damage onto Morghul, and then I will follow up by shooting him with my Stormwall. I don't want to move him. He's only Rat 6, and against Defense 15, he's still going to need a pretty decent roll to hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand still instead so I can aim and get him up to Rat 8. 8 against 15 is only going to be 7s instead of 9 if I would have moved him. So I will shoot him first with the big gun on the left side. Checking to see if he's within range, and he completely has it with both that and the Cyclone Cannons. So here comes the attack roll, and it will be enough to hit. And he's going to take POW 15 from those big guns. They're really fantastic if I can get an assassination run of any type. They hit super hard, so even against really high camping armor warcasters or armor buffed anything, it's always going to be able to at least nickel and dime something. And best case scenario, it's going to put a big gaping hole in it. So POW 15 against Morghul's measly arm 13 is going to hurt quite a bit. And then I roll rapid fire for the Metal Storm Cannon, the Cyclone Cannon, and I only get one shot or 2 shots, sorry, and miss and a miss. So with his right side, what he's going to do is he's going to shoot the big gun at the Agonizer, starting actually with the Cyclone Cannon. First shot will miss. The big gun shot will hit, and he will take that big ole POW 15, and it will be enough to put him down. So it gets rid of him, even though really in the long term it's going to be inconsequential, because with Morghul out front like that and dead-eyed gun mages on my side of the board, he is going to have some trouble standing up to that. And then Stormwall will finish up his activation by placing a lightning pod right there in front of that Bronzeback that's closer to the camera to stop him from countercharging the Black 13th, which will be activating next. So as you can see, Ryan and Watt are going to move more towards the center of the board. They want to shoot to the left of that Bronzeback Titan that's behind that wall. And then, as you can see, Lynch is going to try to move as far to the right, closer to the camera as he can, so that he can shoot around the Bronzeback. But I'm going to check line of sight and see that I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to be able to actually shoot around it. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to assist in the assassination run. But Ryan has a pair of shots, and Watt has his single shot, and they're both Rat 8, so they're pretty accurate. Unfortunately, despite their accuracy at Rat 8, it's not going to be enough quite to hit that Defense 15. Needing 7s to hit, I believe I only hit with one of their attacks. and he did actually end up transferring it. So even those really solid brutal damage shots, I was really hoping that they would pay off a lot. POW 10 plus 3d6, but the dice were not in my favor, and I didn't actually get to the damage section on a few of those rolls. So yeah, the gun mages are going to go now. One of them is unfortunately engaged by the Titan Sentry, so I am going to have to take a free strike. Fortunately, with defense 15 and the Sentry having to attack over that wall, he's going to have trouble hitting, and the dice will not be in his favor. My turn, I guess, to benefit. So yeah, you're going to see a bunch of them move over. Here comes free strike, misses. Several will also move over towards the center of the board, closer to the camera. And then a couple are going to move over to the left into the scoring zone. That's on the farthest side from the camera. And yeah, with a couple taking crit brutal shots, with Deadeye I'm getting 3d6 to hit. Unfortunately, none of those crits triggered, so he was just taking straight POW 10s, but when you're only arm 13, each damage roll, even if it's only 2d6, is really still going to hurt. So yeah, it's only going to take me, I believe, 4 gun mage shots to finish him off, even with all those transfers. So yeah, pretty easy assassination run. I had 3 more gun mages left to shoot, so I think it was a pretty safe bet, and I'm glad that I took it. It was all really still kind of hinging on whether or not I could hit that telekinesis roll, because if Morghul would have been benefiting from cover for the entirety of that, in addition to paralytic aura from Kriya, I probably wouldn't have stood a chance with any type of ranged assassination. He would have been defense super high at that point. So yeah, Draxos, always an honorable opponent, shakes hands, like a BoLS. I believe that actually makes us 3 wins for me and 2 for him on our recorded bat reps. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself, and also extremely dirty because I just beat somebody with eHaley, so I do feel kind of bad. There you can see the dice roll from the theoretical admonition countercharge. And rolling in the 6th column, unfortunately, means that it would not have taken out the arc node. So Thorn would have survived, and I still would have been able to do it, even though I was kind of an idiot with that ruling. So again, props to Draxos for being super classy. So yeah, had Draxos actually kept Morghul about a ½ inch back, I would not probably have been able to get him over the wall with telekinesis, making the ranged assassination not viable. A simple mistake, it happens, but those little mistakes, those ½ inches, can cost you games. But fortunately for me, he missed that, and I was able to profit pretty nicely. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Battle Lost Souls. I hope you guys enjoyed the new format. Please click like below if you did, or dislike if you didn't, and feel free to leave a comment explaining why. If you do, we'll continue with this format, and if you don't, we'll go back to the old format of talking between turns and kind of explaining in that way what happened. Anyway, yeah, thanks again for tuning in, you guys, and stay tuned for more battle reports from Battle Lost Souls.